It's now 6:33. We're into day number 38 of the government shutdown. Senate leaders from both parties met yesterday to negotiate a deal for a short-term stopgap funding bill, but right now it's not clear as of now when the Senate will actually vote again. You're looking at a video right there from airports across the country because beginning today, the FAA is reducing air traffic by 10% at 40 major airports to deal with the air traffic control shortage amid this shutdown.
Now pressure has been building on air traffic controllers forced to work without pay, leading to delays and ground stops. Now Republicans say Democrats are contributing to delays. However, Democrats are standing firm on their push to extend expiring health care subsidies. Bipartisan negotiations are continuing, with both parties blaming the other.
Donald Trump clearly is feeling pressure to bring the shutdown to an end. Well, I have good news for the president. Meet with Democrats, reopen the government, fix the ACA crisis. That's the best way to put this crisis behind us.
Federal workers have now gone without pay for more than a month, including the people in this building. Will the far left not be satisfied until federal workers and military families are getting their Thanksgiving dinner from a food bank? Because that's where we're headed.
And you're going to take a live look at Des Moines International Airport. Now, Des Moines is not one of the 40 airports in the list of those with reduced air traffic. However, there are some indirect impacts. Like, of the 40 airports, 21 of them have direct flights to Des Moines, including Minneapolis, Chicago, and Denver. You see this long line right here. Our photojournalist Brandon, who is out at the airport right now, is telling us that Allegiant is majorly backed up. We can see it right now due to delays in Boston and Nashville. So we are already starting to see the trickle down effects, especially right now. If you are heading to the airport, you are going to want to keep an eye on those flight times. So we're going to take a look at what the status is for flights right now at Des Moines International. If you're departing, there are delays already in Phoenix, Minneapolis. There are 2 cancellations in Chicago. So we are seeing those trickle down impacts, and now we're seeing Allegiant majorly backed up. So we'll have to see what happens there. However, you do want to keep an eye on your flights if you are headed out the door this morning. Now, if you are flying this weekend, like we're showing you right now, you could hit some turbulence, and this is just the beginning, as the FAA says to expect more reductions. Experts say it might feel like a snowstorm is hitting your airport if it's affected.
Yeah, in some ways, they say that this current situation is worse than inclement weather because it's affecting much of the country and will last for days. Amy Kiley has advice for people flying or booking flights in the near future.
There's a number of things you should be doing to be aware.
Experts say travelers who plan to fly soon should know their options. The FAA is building up to a 10% flight reduction at 40 airports. Experts advise people departing within 10 days to keep an eye on their airline's app for changes. They say carriers likely will try to preserve their hub-to-hub operations and cut regional flights instead.
It may not be a bad idea to delay travel if it's non-essential, or if you're in a smaller city, perhaps to drive to one of the larger hubs if it's close by, and also consider buying a backup ticket.
Several airlines are letting passengers change their flights for free. The law requires them to issue refunds for cancellations, but they're unlikely to reimburse stranded passengers for meals or hotels.
We have been rebooked on an 8 o'clock flight, but that flight is also delayed now until 11 p.m. and might never take off.
For people planning to buy tickets soon, experts suggest booking with airlines directly. They say that makes it easier to change flights. They recommend avoiding layovers if possible. And the Transportation Secretary suggests bracing for Thanksgiving impacts if the government stays closed.
If we have staffing triggers and we don't have enough controllers in an airspace where we did cut 10%, you might see additional delays.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.